Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Hard Hat Highlights, where myself, Keith Dobbin, along with co-host Jason Ryback. Jason and I have been working together for over 20 years. 20 years here. Actually, it's 20 years here in Southwest Florida, over 25 years. But on this show, we do a recap of our work week, and then we go over some trending topics and headlines that we see in the news. Hopefully add a little humor and levity to your work week. We hope you enjoy. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Glass Guy. Share it if you'd like. We also feel free to comment on any topics that you'd like to be brought up. Or if you're in the North Naples area and you want to stop by, maybe do a guest appearance on one of our shows, feel free to reach out. But without further ado, Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing excellent.
How was your weekend?
The weekend was great.
Yeah? Anything exciting?
Yeah, we can talk about that in a little bit.
We
had a few things happen this past week. I think first and foremost, we might want to talk about our friends at BCB Homes.
Yes. Shout out to the gals at BCB Homes who came in and brought us lunch. But more importantly than lunch, they brought us some really good information. Why don't you unpack how that came up? Because we do want to give them kudos. We do a lot of work for contractors. We talk a lot about communication.
Well, Keith mentioned he and I have been working together for 25 years. We've never seen anything like this before. A contractor who went out of their way to assemble a task force to come and ask select subcontractors what they can do to make things better for the subcontractor. We never hear that.
No, if I heard that from most of the contract, I would think they were patronizing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this was
we saw the video where you made fun of us. So.
Yeah. A departmental individual who was part of a joint task force to reach out to dozens of subcontractors to get feedback. And then it was about 6 or 7 months later, they came back with a detailed packet of how they onboard new subcontractors, the whole process and pipeline, if you will, for them to help track and manage. Because let's face it, BCB has grown, and I'm sure a lot of people in town will tell you this, they've grown bigger than most other, if not all other custom home building companies in the area. Their volume.
Right.
But still produce, a high-end product. But when you're doing that much volume in anything, a lot of times things can start falling through the cracks. Of course, they're still moving the ball forward. They're making a beautiful home. They're making a profit. They're employing a lot of individuals, so respect to that. But then to double back and want to continue to get better.
That's admirable.
I love it. I mean, I don't know how you don't love that.
It makes us as subcontractors want to work harder for a company like that because we know that they care.
Game recognizes game is probably the best saying I love to attach to that. When, Chris Voss, our mentor, he says this, and I think Jordan Peterson might speak of this as well. He says, when you, as an individual, let's say me as a salesperson, at some point I wanted to get better at sales, and I says, geez, who could I look up to as a mentor? If you seek out advice from a so-called mentor, and they actually take time to give you the advice, if you actually take it and use it, what will end up happening is that mentor will see that you're using it, and he will then go out of his way to do more stuff for you unsolicited. Conversely, if I ask the mentor for advice and they see that I didn't take it or did completely opposite of that, they will alienate themselves from you.
Yeah, because it's just a show at that point.
It's just a show. You didn't mean what you said. Now you wasted my fucking time asking it. They did not do that. They asked for advice. They asked for criticism. They went back and put processes in place and brought all that work to us to show us how they were doing that.
Yeah, that's the thing. They didn't have to ask for our advice first and foremost.
Right.
But they did.
Right.
And then after we gave it, they could have just done whatever they wanted to. They didn't have to come back and tell us what they've done and what their processes are.
Right. So now what did that trigger for us? You and I say, holy shit, this is great. we need to really make sure we're staying on our ball, especially for anything that's coming in through them, because we know they're paying attention. We need to pay attention. And then we offered to do a collab, I think a podcast. We wanted to do another lunch and learn, which they were going to make happen. So it was just an all-around great collaboration. And kudos to those gals that did that. They did a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Phenomenal job. What else happened this week? Was there anything else exciting? We're in the middle of that new CRM that's being implemented. Jeez, is that robust?
Yeah. It's a lot of learning, but it's going to be good stuff.
Uptick in the website leads through our social media. Last week it was a little down because I took like 3 days off where I didn't really post much of anything. I could actually see that.
Well, we had a hurricane storm Debbie come through here.
Yeah.
Which surprisingly brought a lot of water.
Sarasota got cremated.
Yeah.
There was areas that was like 4 foot deep.
Yeah. I know you had driven around a little bit in Naples, and it was nothing that. All the years that we've had all these hurricanes, it's always been storm surge, and we've never gotten any. And then Ian came and it just destroyed everything. And now we had this little dinky storm, and
it wasn't even a named storm. It was a tropical storm. It wasn't even a category named hurricane.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting what those things are doing to us too, because we're getting all this crap happening now. The insurance rates are going up. People are getting dropped. Some carriers are no longer writing here in Florida. I just saw, though, this week, our Senator Rick Scott put a bill into motion to allow for up to $10,000 that you've paid in insurance premiums to be as write-offs, to go as write-offs on your taxes. So you can write off up to $10,000 if this bill passes.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah.
Why would that not pass?
Well, why do a lot of things not pass?
Well, there's probably a bunch of other pork put into it on both sides, I'm sure. Let's get into some of the headlines that you put together here. Is there one in particular that's sticking out to you? Well, you got the Debbie $10,000 tax premium. So shout out Rick Scott, Senator, for putting that bill on there. I don't know what we could do to help promote that. That's not votable to us in the public, right?
I don't believe so.
That's just on the House floor.
I don't believe so. So you asked what I did this weekend. I actually went up to St. Pete and went to a Rays game, Tampa Bay Rays, which I haven't been to that stadium in probably 10 years.
What did you think?
It's still they've done a lot of improvement to it, but it's still not. It doesn't feel like a major league stadium.
Well, especially when you've been to some of these, even Miami. I mean, some of these have been updated. When was that stadium even built?
Oh, geez. I know in the early 90s, before the Rays, it was actually, I think it was meant to be a soccer stadium originally, and then it ended up housing the Tampa Bay Lightning for a couple of years. So
there's been multiple decades of revisions on how they do stadiums nowadays. So just think about how old. Yes, it's not even close to what most.
No, they're building a brand new one. It's going to be beautiful.
Where is it going to be?
Right down that same area, downtown. Yeah. Anyhow, so we went there. It was fun. We got there. I got up. We were kind of in the outfield, and there was this little area nearby. I wanted to get a drink, and they had it was the Budweiser porch, they called it. So walk up there, and it was something I had never seen before. So you walk up, you're in line, and you get there, and there's a woman in this particular case there asking for your debit card before you even order. What the hell? So what it is there's these little gates. They scan your debit card, and it authorizes it for $25, and you walk through the gate. The gate opens automatically. You walk through. You go in, you grab whatever you want, and you walk out, and then they charge your card for what you took. But you don't show anyone. You literally just go in, open fridge. I had to look it up afterwards. I'm like, how the hell do they do this? I guess it's a bunch of these overhead high-resolution cameras and then shelf sensors to determine exactly what you took. It's a company called Zip-In. So I guess
Zippin?
I guess the thing behind the name is kind of you zip in and you zip out because they're cashierless.
Yeah. What do you think of it? I mean, how was the experience? So there's no line.
I thought it was great because you don't have to stand in line. You know,
Well,
you
is
go
there
and grab
a
your shit
line
and
on
you're
the
in and out.
front end of it?
No, there really wasn't. There were several little scanners, you know. So there was barely any line. I mean, we waited maybe 2 minutes and then we were in and out.
So self-serving, nobody. I mean, what's the downside to that?
For me, the immediate downside to me is like, okay, I went and I grabbed this and this, right? Didn't see any pricing. Don't know what they're charging me. So they could have charged me $300. I don't know.
You
know?
don't know.
That was the only downside I could see. Obviously, I'm sure there was pricing posted somewhere. I just didn't happen to see it to know that, okay, they're going to charge me this.
Almost a completely frictionless experience.
It was. It was good. It's I guess this is the next generation of AI shopping.
That's unreal. All right, well, we got another topic here, the OpenAI Chat GPT.
Speaking of AI.
Concerns new feature emotional.
Whoa.
What?
Concerns what? Let me talk.
Okay, go ahead. I don't want to steal your thunder.
So you know how you and I always have these conversations about AI. You use Chat GPT yourself.
I love it.
Have you used their latest update? I think it's 4.0 or 40 maybe.
No.
So OpenAI is the parent company of Chat GPT. And their newest platform, their newest update, which they haven't rolled out to everyone just yet, contains a voice feature. So you can literally have a conversation with this thing, and the rate at which it responds to you is like you're speaking to a human. So they've been testing this for a little while, and one of the concerns that they have is that people are becoming emotionally attached to this AI voice.
What do you mean by that?
Like,
give me an example.
Like, remember that Scarlett Johansson movie, Her?
No.
Where he becomes obsessed with her, and she's just a voice, a computer voice. People. There's some weird people out there, right? If you're a little lonely,
you mean somebody's falling in love? Or
They could.
You're kidding.
No. And they don't go into that much detail that like, oh, this person's falling in love, but it's maybe they miss the voice when it's not there, things like that. Maybe more of just kind of some sort of a relationship they're developing emotionally with this voice. Okay,
so first off, to set the record straight, because I'm sure you're going to use this against me at some point. The Chat GPT that I use,
yes,
I talk into it, but there's no voice that comes back to me. It's just
so you
text.
don't yet have an AI girlfriend.
I do not yet have an AI girlfriend. I'm not opposed to having an AI girlfriend because I don't know what that's like. But yeah, it doesn't talk back to me, so I haven't heard it talk back. Now that said, Siri or all these other devices, Alexas that you talk to, I don't have any of those.
Right.
I don't have any
this.
Of that.
From what I understand, this is quite different than those because this is like you and I are talking. You could literally have a conversation. Maybe some of these weirdos that are falling in love with it are like, I really hate the girl down the hall, and then AI says, why don't you go fucking kill her?
I could see where this would be the next wave of like robocallers taking advantage of people that might be elderly or are unaware for scams.
You know what? That's a good point. Elderly people could develop an emotional attachment because a lot of them are lonely.
Yep, they don't have anybody to talk to.
Now, most of them are technologically scared, so they don't necessarily deal with it, but I could see that happening.
The question becomes to make somebody almost bond with you through a conversation, as you know, the conversation has to be emotionally intelligent. So even though it's having real-time dialogue, a didactic conversation, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth.
Yeah.
is it being is it capable of being emotionally intelligent?
I guess we don't know that yet.
Because if it does move into that state, now you can have manipulation at the highest.
Right.
I mean, you're borderline hypnotizing people.
Right.
Wow. You still haven't used any ChatGPT?
No. Not looking to fall in love with a voice.
I want to be clear. The ChatGPT I'm using doesn't have a voice. It just comes back text. And for all of you that might be siding with Jay, let me just further explain what I use it for, because this is great. If you go into either Messenger or Instagram and you go, normally, let's say you're searching for something. You want to search for a sports car or a watch or a bottle of wine, and you put that in the search. Up in that search bar, there's a little AI wheel. And if you hit it, I say, pull up the top 10 construction remodeling companies in Naples, Florida that have Instagram pages. And it will list them all out for me. So if I'm trying to solicit new business, instead of doing a Google search and trying to extrapolate who are the who's who of remodelers, the AI will do that for you.
Yeah.
That's massively useful to me. That saves a lot of time.
I agree. I think the voice would make it even easier for you because you wouldn't have to have someone read it to you.
I like to see it. A lot of people are okay with what they hear, but most people believe what they see. I like to see the links, the pictures.
Seeing is believing.
The followers. Yeah, you're right.
So on that weird, we're talking little bit of sci-fi stuff here. Boeing has just had its latest in a long line of mishaps. Have you seen this?
Mm-mm.
So back in June, 2 test pilots went up on their new Starliner up to the International Space Station. And the intent was for them to be there for a week, roughly. I can't imagine if I told my wife, hey, honey, I'm going up to space for a week. I'll see you next week. And now here it is, 60 days later, I'm still in fucking space. These astronauts are still trapped at the International Space Station because of several issues with this Starliner, ranging from helium leaks to problems with the thrust. So it's currently docked at the International Space Station. They have no way of getting home right now. So what they're looking at right now is if they can't get this...
I can't stop, and I don't want to seem insensitive to this because that's not the case. I'm worried about if they're Americans.
I want to laugh, so tell me.
I just want to know if you were gone from what I can't imagine just letting you go away for a week somewhere, period. But 2, if you were to go to space for a week and you got stuck there because of nothing, would you still be in trouble? Even though it had nothing to do with you.
Probably not for that, but for something else, I'm sure.
Okay, good. Sorry.
So anyhow, these 2 astronauts are up there still.
They've been there for how long?
They've been there since June.
Come on.
Since June. They were only supposed to be there roughly a week. So now it looks like their next chance is going to come aboard Boeing's competitor, SpaceX's next Dragon 9 mission. The caveat is that this mission its next window to leave is September 24th. So they're going to be up there. That's to leave Earth. Then they're up there for 6 months.
Oh, shit.
So these 2 are trapped at the moment, unless they figure something else out. These 2 are trapped up there for a minimum of until February. To further it even more, there's only 2, it's International Space Station, so there's several other countries and, there's a lot of moving parts of different missions and things like that. There's only 2 docking stations up there, so there's limited parking. And right now this Boeing Starliner is sitting there, and they're not sure what they're going to do with it.
Well, you, just cut it loose? Well, how else is anyone going to land?
So here's the thing. They said that to get it away from the docking station, this is the other thing I saw. To get it away from there, they're hoping that the thrusters would work to just kind of pull it away.
Oh,
but here's the thing. The reason why they're worried is these thrusters not properly working when they re-enter the atmosphere cause a multitude of issues. But just getting away from there, they don't have the space suits to be able to come out of the capsule and get back to the space station. So it's not like they could just push it off and let it go.
Ghost ride it.
Yeah.
So, wow, this is a problem.
Yeah.
So I'm still unclear. If they can't do that, how does the next spaceship or whatever you call it land there?
That's a shit show they need to figure out.
Oh,
No idea.
So these guys are stuck like Chuck right now.
Yeah. This is like straight out of a movie.
Oh, my God. Can you imagine the panic or fear that must be going through there? So you want to talk about the fear of the unknown.
Yeah. Yeah, you're literally sitting there going, I may or may not get home.
I still don't believe we went to the moon. I saw something else the other day where it said all of the footage and recordings and video documentary from the cameras that were supposedly on this cheap piece of shit that landed on the moon, all of that stuff was destroyed several years after the fact. All of it gone. There's no documentation or footage from when we were on the moon there. All we see is the recorded and static posts, all the regular things that we've seen.
Wow.
Ron Howard, I guess, wanted to ask for all the footage, and he was going to convert it to, whatever the hell they do to play it and put together a killer movie. And when he was going looking for it, they came back and said that all the footage and stuff was destroyed and lost. All of it.
That's insane. I mean, that you would think that it'd probably be
No, I wouldn't think.
secured
I'd
pretty
guarantee.
well.
Yeah, the biggest thing
Yeah.
to going to the moon.
That's crazy.
Yeah. No, so that's just another one of those, like...
So let me ask you this. You mentioned the fear of the unknown, and these two are up there not knowing what the hell's going to happen.
Oh, my God.
Something else that I just saw came out, too, is I want to know which scenario you would rather. Being up in the space station, not knowing if or when the hell you're going to get home.
Oh, my God.
Or I saw that there's a lawsuit that came out against remember the Titan the submarine that was going down to the Titanic and imploded.
Oh.
They said that all of the occupants knew well ahead of time they were going to die down there.
They knew that? Why?
Just as things started to fail, they knew there was no way they were getting back up. They're going to die.
So what are you asking me?
Would you rather be sitting in a submarine
Oh my God.
waiting to die, or sitting in space wondering if you'll ever get home?
Okay, well, two things. I've always had a fear of like going in outer space and then worried like then you just start floating forever and ever and ever and ever and who knows what happened. That cripples me. I've also done deep water diving. I've gone 100, 120 feet deep. It's another world down there, and you can't just come up because that'll change everything as well. If I knew I'm going to die in both scenarios, the water one seems like a decent one because I just know it happens so quick.
Yeah.
But the space thing, oof. I don't know. I'd probably have to go water.
See, I would have took you the opposite. Because I would have thought you'd say, well, I'll just walk out the back door of the studio. I'm not in space.
Yeah, exactly. This ain't real. Good point. All right, lastly, what is this?
Okay, so we just had 2 weeks of the Olympics.
Oh, man.
Which Team USA, unbelievable.
What?
First place overall medals, tied for first place in gold medals, first place in
Who did
silver,
we tie?
first place in bronze.
Chinatown?
China.
So we tied on golds,
Yep.
but we win first on most medals?
So we had by far the most amount of silvers, the most amount of bronze, and I think China was second place in overall medals, but I think we beat them by like 35 medals. So it was a good Olympic Games for the United States. Oftentimes when I'm watching the Olympics, I'm a sports junkie, and so if something's on, you watch the oddest shit when the Olympics is on. But if an American's not competing, I'll often pull for someone, some country that is part of my heritage. Like I'm Polish, Irish, and French, right? Do you have any French in you?
I think so.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you'll be happy to hear about this next thing.
Okay, I didn't know where you were going with this.
There were a few viral moments this Olympics, which range from the break dancer from Australia that everyone's laughing about, who got 0 points, which I don't know how that happens.
A 0. I mean, you almost have to have, the lowest decimal point you could get for just walking out on the mat.
She should have got points for that asinine routine she pulled
Yeah.
out, but that's another.
A 0.
Yeah. But then you get into the French, and the French had two. At least two that I know of. You had the swimmer who was either swimmer or diver, who apparently was smuggling a soup can in his shorts, and that picture went viral.
And it was a female, or suppose it.
No. It was a male.
Oh.
It was a male. And then
The pole vaulter?
you had the pole vaulter who cleared the pole, but his pole didn't clear. So,
Good one, BB.
did I mention I'm French? So this pole vaulter, his name's Anthony Amariti. I believe I'm pronouncing it the proper way.
Great name. Amaretto.
Most of you, I'm sure, have seen he made it over. Parts of him did not. Afterwards, he was approached by an adult film site,
Oh.
and they were offered him $250,000 for 60 minutes of showing off his pole.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
His kid's 21 years old. I mean, think about it. You're 21 years old.
At the Olympics.
Here's $250,000 because you got a huge dong.
Oh my God.
What do you do?
Take the money. Yeah. I'd want to know a little bit more.
Yeah.
I know a little bit more.
The internet's forever. You got to remember that.
Yeah, good point. Did he place? Did he medal or finish?
No, he finished in 12th.
That's unbelievable. He stole. I didn't see any other thing on the internet about pole vaulting except for that.
He finished in 12th place. Now, mind you, the year prior, I think it was the year prior, he was, because he's 21, he was the gold medalist for U20
Oh, wow.
for a pole vault. So it wasn't like he was a long shot,
I saw the video. I know what you're talking about. I only watched it once. I know you and a lot of other people probably watched it a ton.
Well, you only watch it once because you're waiting for the camera footage. You got a whole 60 minutes now.
They talk about that the village where everybody kind of congregates, all the Olympians, and the amount of rubbers that they give out is per person is astronomical. I mean, this just must be an absolute. You got men that are competing at the highest level, so they probably are just riddled with testosterone, and women just pumped up as well, and these two worlds collide. It just.
How many medals do you think Mr. Anthony earned at the Olympic Village?
I don't know, but I'm sure he attempted.
Broke a few cardboard beds.
That was unbelievable. Speaking of which, I did watch. I didn't watch as many of the Olympics as I normally do. My favorite, without question, Olympic event for me is the one that is deemed the fastest man in the world, and that's the 100.
Yeah,
the 100. And there's a certain camera angle too that I like to watch. I don't like just the above one. There's almost one ground level on a trolley going right in line with them, and you can really get a good feel of how fucking fast these guys are moving. It's scary.
yeah.
I mean, it's fun to watch. And the girls too, the U.S. girls relay, I think it was the 400, so they each do 100, 100, 100, is unbelievable as well. I mean, watching these girls run is a treat. I love watching those. But other than that, I didn't really watch much more. I watched a little bit of the men's basketball. That was good.
Yeah. So you like watching girls run away?
I'm used to it. I'm used to
Figured
it.
that.
All right.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting things that happened over those 2 weeks. You brought up the 100, and then Noah Lyles, who won the 100, he was attempting to win the 100 and the 200. And I don't know if you knew he ended up getting a bronze medal in the 200, which actually is his better event. But it came out later that he was competing with COVID.
Huh.
He had 102 fever.
Oof.
We saw a Belgian athlete was a triathlete, got E. coli from swimming in the Seine River.
Oof.
You know the story behind that, right?
No.
They spent I want to say it was like $1.4 billion trying to clean up that river for these games, for the triathletes to swim there. And the reason they had to do that is there was protesters that God knows what their platform was. I don't know what it was, but they were shitting in the river.
Come on.
Yeah.
And so an athlete got E. coli.
Yeah.
Man, people are crazy.
Yep.
Speaking of that, have you seen the new Kill Tony with Shane Gillis kind of impersonating Donald Trump?
Mm-hmm.
Shane Gillis, in my opinion, is an excellent comedian. But he's one of these comedians that when you watch him, you're like, oh, I could see this person in a show, a TV show or a movie,
Yeah.
which he has. I believe it's called
Tires.
Tires.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think he's top tier in all that. Take that aside. His impersonation and mannerisms and the way he talks and his facial could be the best I've ever seen of somebody doing an impersonation of anybody. If you haven't seen Shane Gillis, just YouTube Shane Gillis, Donald Trump. Is it Kill Tony?
Yeah, he does it. He does it in his routines, but when he's dressed up and everything, it's in the Kill Tony.
Yeah, his
podcast.
routines are okay, but when he's dressed up is the best part. Yeah,
Right.
the Kill Tony podcast. That's hosted in, I believe Joe Rogan owns that comedy studio or whatever they call it. That's his comedy place, and they film that show Kill Tony there at that place. And when Gillis dresses up as Donald Trump, it's to die for. I can't stop watching it.
I saw they actually took that show on the road. I saw they were just at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, really? Yeah, so I bet they're killing it.
Yep.
Absolutely killing it. Well, that's great. Well, that's going to wrap up this week's episode of Hard Hat Highlights. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please subscribe or share this to someone else that might be interested in some a little bit of humor and some of the things that we got going on in our business and that we see going on around the world. But until next time, we'll see you then.
Stay out of the rivers.